What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Prime 7 event. Very excited to have you here. Wherever you're watching from right now, type in the comments your name, maybe the name of the church that you're at, or what city you're in. It's always fun to see where everybody's tuning in from when we do these live community events. So far, we've got Robert Costa. Welcome. Glad you're here. Ovidu Roman. Welcome. Glad you guys are here. Thanks for joining. My name is Matt McCoy, and I'm the founder of loopcommunity.com. I'm a worship leader, and I live in Chicago, and I've been using tracks in worship for over 20 years. That makes me sound very old. Actually, my birthday is tomorrow, but I've been using tracks for 20 years, and I've gone through the whole evolution of using tracks with Ableton Live. Actually, before that, we were running tracks off an iPod, and then using something like Ableton Live, and then now really seeing the benefits of using an app like Prime, where you can run tracks now on your phone or an iPad or your Mac, and the amount of things you can do now with an app like Prime and with running tracks is incredible. Being spontaneous with tracks, customizing your arrangement, creating set lists quickly, sharing it with your team so that they can all practice, changing the key and the tempo on the fly, using MIDI controllers. All of these things were not even possible 15 years ago. And it's been amazing to watch Prime go ahead and go through all the update that's gone through. And so we're so excited about this Prime 7 event. If you missed it, we launched the brand new version of Prime. So type into the chats who's using Prime, say yes, say no, or we've got, oh my gosh, we've got so many people here. We've got Phil from San Luis Obispo. What's up, Phil? Robert from Michigan, Jaco from South Africa, Jordan Miller from Nebraska. Gosh, people all over the place. This is awesome. So Prime has been around for about 10 years now. Prime was the very first app out there for worship leaders for running tracks. The first app that was designed specifically for worship leaders running tracks. And so Prime, when we first launched it, 10 years ago, it's a little bit more than 10 years ago, it is an old app. And so we decided, you know what? It's time. It's 2023. We are going to completely reimagine Prime. We're going to completely rewrite the app from scratch, from the ground up, to just make it better, to make it just a lot easier to use, more intuitive, and to make it more stable for Sunday morning so that you can really rely on it. Prime, you can always rely on it. But of course, with an old app, there were some bugs. And so we're like, okay, let's just get all those taken care of. And so we rebuilt Prime from the ground up. Some of you guys have been with us since Prime version 1. Maybe type in the chats, what's the first version of Prime you used? I remember like 5 years ago, we did like the Prime 4 launch, and then we did the Prime 5 launch. And today, just so excited to officially launch Prime 7. And I'm going to give you an overview today of some of the great features that we've got. I also want to say too, for everybody who's joining us today, we've got a special promo code that's going to give you a discount. It's today and tomorrow only, okay? Use the code PRIME7, the number 7, PRIME7 at checkout, and you get 20% off all tracks and hardware at loopcommunity.com today and tomorrow. Use the code PRIME7. I'll say that again later after this. But great to have you guys here. Let's go ahead and dive in to Prime 7, all right? So we redesigned it, reimagined it. It's now available on iOS and Mac. So we launched the iOS version about a month and a half ago, and last week we launched the Mac version. So today I'm going to be showing you the Mac version, but really what I'm doing on the Mac, you can do on iOS. It's all the same. Might look a little bit different, but really all the functionality is there. So you can now get Prime 7 on your phone or your iPad, and you can get it on your Mac. You just have to go to the App Store on your device, search for Loop Community Prime, and it'll come right up, and you can download it for free today. So go get Prime 7 if you don't have it already. You're going to really love it. I'm excited to show you all the features. With Prime 7, we decided to rebuild the audio engine from scratch. So that's fancy for basically all of the code, the engine that's running all the audio inside of Prime, allowing you to change the key, change the tempo, add section markers, move sections around. That whole audio engine, that mechanism that plays back all the audio and keeps it on time, we rebuilt it from the ground up so that we could add more features later down the road. So it was something we had to do to kind of set the future, make it a bright future for Prime ahead. So let's go ahead and dive into Prime 7. I've got Prime open right now on my Mac. This is what it looks like if you've downloaded it. This is the Mac version. And I'm seeing some people in the chats ask about the Mac version, and I'll say it again, the Mac version is out. Go to the App Store. You can download the Mac version today. Prime 7 is out on all platforms right now. Go to your App Store and download it. All right, so I've got Prime 7 up on my Mac. You'll notice that it looks different. For those of you who have been using Prime 6 for a while, you're like, okay, this looks a little different. But all the functionality is there. So we moved all of the play buttons, the advanced buttons, the loop buttons up to the top of the screen instead of in the bottom right corner. So that is one huge difference, is that a lot of the controls or the transport controls have all been moved to the top of the screen. The song overview window is in the same spot. All the audio faders are in the same spot. The set list is the same. There's some new functionality for transitions, but you'll notice in the bottom right corner a whole new feature of Prime, and this is called Pad Player. And this is a really exciting thing where you're able to actually play a drone pad behind a song or in between songs. Basically, this plays completely separately from the tracks. So you can play both of them at the same time. You could play the tracks on their own or just the pad player on their own. But we're going to talk about the pad player in a little bit. The first thing I want to show you is we're going to talk about the library. So there's a whole new library inside of Prime 7. And when you click on this plus button that says library, this brings up your library. And it's all of the songs or click tracks or pad tracks or tracks that you've uploaded. This is how you can see all of them. We actually really improved the search, so you can search for, if you want to search for songs by a certain artist, you can search for that. Or if you want to search for a song title like Same God, search is a lot more improved. It's faster. But what you can also do now with this library is you can filter by different tracks that you're looking for. So if you want to look at just tracks that are master tracks, you can now filter by master tracks in your library. Or if you just want to see enhancement tracks, you can see all of your enhancement tracks that you have. This is a new feature in Prime 7, filtering in the library. People also asked us for a way to sort your library by what type of track is it? Did you buy is it a multi-track you want to find, or is it a split track you want to find? You can now do that with your filters. So you can just choose your track type here. You can choose your category here. You can also sort your tracks from A to Z or Z to A, or newest first, maybe like a new track that you've added to your library, or your oldest first. So for me, it's actually kind of fun to see this. My very first track, at least with Prime, was Nothing is Impossible by Planet Shakers. And this was, probably 10 years ago at least. So you can kind of see all your old songs if you want to do that. Newest first. Anyways, this is the Prime library, and it's a really, really great way to just quickly find the song you're looking for. You're looking for Cornerstone. You can just search for it, and here it is. Now you'll notice that when you click on a song, over on the right-hand side of the screen, this shows you all of your arrangements. So I've got Cornerstone, which is by Hillsong Worship. Now I can add the original arrangement to my set list by just clicking on the original and click Add to Set List. That'll add the original arrangement as you buy it without any changes. But if you've made any changes to the song and you've saved those arrangements to Prime Cloud, your arrangements are going to show up right down here. So you'll notice I've got a Tracks Made Easy version, and I have what's called Matt's version, and this is the version I use when I lead worship. You can also edit or go ahead and manage your arrangements here by just clicking on the three dots. And if you want to delete a version, I can delete versions. Let's just say you want to load Matt's version. You just click on your custom version and hit add to set list. And it's going to go ahead and bring it into my set list. It's going to download it. Once it's downloaded, it'll load and I can play it. So let's go back to the library. I'm going to keep showing you some other things. Again, if you click on a song, it shows you the arrangements. Now, up here are the categories. So I can look for tracks that are downloaded to my device. This shows me all the tracks that I've already downloaded to my local device, which means I could use them offline. If I turned my Wi-Fi off and I went off the internet, these are the tracks that I could use offline. I can look at all the tracks that I've purchased. These are all the tracks that I've actually placed an order for. I can also see all the tracks that I've uploaded. So if you are a Prime Pro user and you've uploaded your own custom audio into Prime, these are all of your own custom uploads. I can find them here. You can also find all of your click tracks. So you can create click tracks within the app and use them inside of Prime and save them, and they would show up right here. Or a filter for pad tracks. So these categories are all brand new in Prime 7. Before, you had to really kind of search through all of your library, but these are all my pad tracks. Let's look at adding a click track because it's a little bit different in Prime 7. All you have to do is in the top right corner, we added a big button that says create click track, create new click. I'm going to click on that and it's going to ask you to name it. So let's just say I'm going to name it How Great Is Our God. And you can set your BPM. So it's 76 BPM. My time signature is 4/4. My subdivision, you could do 1 time or 2 times. Let's do 1x. And you can also choose your duration. Now in Prime 6, in previous versions, there was no duration. Clicks just went on forever. The reason we've added a duration to a click is because a new feature that is coming is going to be the ability to add section markers and cues to a click track. But for us to do that, we actually needed to set a duration to the click. Now, some people have asked, hey, I wish there was a way to do longer than 10 minutes, and just want to let you know that that is something we're working on. So we're going to add more time increments and also maybe a way to make it indefinite. But go ahead and set the time duration of your click. Let's just say it's going to be 4 minutes and 10 seconds and click add new. And now it's added a click track to my set list where I can press play and we can just hear the click on its own. Now, over here on the click, you'll notice that there's a gear icon. We've moved a few settings for clicks and we've moved it right here. We wanted to make it really quick and easy for you to access. Before, you had to go into the settings menu to access these things. Now you can just click the gear icon right here and change your subdivision. We also added a ×4 subdivision for those of you who wanted that, because before on Prime 6 we only had 2 times and 1 time. And you can turn off your click accent right here. So we wanted to make these options just a lot more accessible, have them right there in front of you so you don't have to go into a settings menu. So that's a click track. Now, as far as the set list goes, everything is very much the same as far as reordering your songs. You can click and drag, move things around, what you need to do. Click the 3 dots to remove it from your set list. You could also, if you're on an iOS device, swipe left to remove. You can reorder your set list very quickly, just like that. Let's look at the set list menu. So if you're a Prime Pro user, you can press the sync button. We moved the sync button. It was up here in the top menu. Now it's right here, just to make it clear that syncing has to do with your set list. So if I press sync, it's going to save my set list to Prime Cloud. So I've just now saved my changes to Prime Cloud by pressing the sync button. If I click on set lists, this will bring up your set lists window. I can see all the set lists that I have on the cloud. So these are all my past set lists. I can look at what set lists have been downloaded to my device. And I can also see what set lists have been shared with me. So if another user has shared set lists with me, I can access those right here. So again, you can also search set lists if you need to do that. If I click on a set list, like here's the Prime 7 launch event, I can see all the songs in that set list before I load it. I can go through and look at my other set lists. This is a nice feature because in Prime 6, you couldn't actually see what was in these set lists. You would maybe click on a set list, but you have no idea actually what's in it. Well, with Prime 7 and the new feature here, you can just browse all of your past set lists, click on it, and be like, oh, here's what I played at Christ Church of Oak Brook on March 7th, 2020. I did Glorious Day, Who You Say I Am, and here's my songs. And I could click Load Set List if I want to go ahead and load this set list to my device. So this is the set list window. Now, if you want to create a new set list, in the top right corner, there is a button that says Create New. So I'm going to click that, and you would enter the name. So let's just say it is July 19th. And, or actually, let's call it something like Youth Service. And then you can set the date here. This is also a new feature in Prime 7. And I'm going to choose July 19th and hit Create Set List. And now I have a fresh, brand new set list where I can add songs from my library to, just like this. Choose the arrangement, hit Add to Set List. Let's go back and load the Prime 7 launch event set list. So I went to the set list window, click on that, and hit Load Set List. And now we're back. Now, one quick thing is that we actually are going to be adding a feature here soon where you can, within Prime, actually share this set list with other users. So right now, you can only share set lists through the website. Well, very soon, you're actually going to be able to share set lists and manage shared set lists all within Prime. So you never actually have to leave the Prime app to share set lists. That's a new feature that we're working on. It's coming. So hang on. It's going to be great. All right. It'll actually happen right here in this window under Edit Set List. And the Edit Set List window is where you're going to be able to share your set list with different users. I can remove the set list if I want to delete the set list from my device. I can also manage the set list here. If I want to move these songs around, you can just click and drag to do that. You can remove the song. You can update the transition options all from this window. So you can also do it here. So you could do it in either place, either the Edit Set List window or right within the set list. But the hint that I'm giving you is just that in the future, this Edit Set List window is going to be so that you can share your set list with other people. Let's talk about some of the transition options and how they've changed. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you over on the top right corner, this is your transition options. So if you click on this, we've added a new icon for the default transition. It just made sense to make it a stop button because that's actually what it does. When it gets to the end of the song, it's stopping. So when you see this little square over here, what that means is stop. It means the transition option you're on is stop, which means that when it gets to the end of the song, it just stops and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't go anywhere, doesn't transition, just stops. And that's the default. Now, some of the ones you will love are still here. So we still have trigger, we still have overlap and crossfade and auto advance, but we added a new one. And what it is the ability for it to advance to the next song, but not play the song. So if you're using auto advance, when you get to the very end of the song,
end, 2, 3,
what happens
4.
is it's actually going to just auto advance to the next song and play it. Here it goes. It went to the next song and it's playing the next song.
2, 3, 4.
But what we added is another feature called Advance. And this is for people, many of you asked, can you create a transition where it goes to the next song, but it doesn't play the next song? And that is what the Advance transition does. So watch what happens. When it gets to the end of the song, it's going to load the next song, but it's not going to play it. So that's a feature that many of you asked for as far as a new transition. But here's an even more exciting one, and it has to do with crossfade on demand. In Prime 6, you were able to crossfade on demand. So let me go and turn on crossfade. I'm going to turn on crossfade on a few of these songs. I'm going to show you how this works. So crossfade on demand has been really cool because what it allows you to do is that, let's just say you're in a pad, right? You're playing a pad. And then you wanted to go to the next song. Well, with crossfade on demand, you could do that by just go ahead and pressing the next arrow. And it crossfades on demand. The pad fades out and the next song starts playing. All right. So crossfade on demand has been around since Prime 6. But one thing that you haven't been able to do was actually go from one song to another by just double clicking on it and having it crossfade immediately. So check this out. Let's just say you're in the pad. And then I want to go right into this song. You could go to any song in your set list. It doesn't have to be the first song or the song after or the song before. It could be any song in your set list, and you just double click on it. And a crossfade on demand starts.
2, 3, 4.
So watch this. I can double click
Verse 2
to any song in my set list, and it will crossfade
intro
to the next song.
3, 4.
Double click, crossfade right into another song, any
Intro,
song in your
2,
set list.
3, 4.
So crossfade on demand has been majorly enhanced with Prime 7, and that is due to our brand new audio engine that's in Prime 7. So that's really excited. I wanted to make sure you guys caught that because not many people know that you could do that. Double click on a song, crossfade at any time. Another feature that people have asked us for many times is the ability to delete the start and end sections. And that's because a lot of people wanted to make mashups between songs. So let's just say you have two songs, and let me go ahead and add in like Battle Belongs here again. I'm going to search Battle Belongs. I'm going to add this track here. I'm going to just show you real quick. I'm going to bring those right next to each other. It could be two songs at the same tempo. What you can do now with editing sections is by clicking on the pencil tool, you can click Edit Arrangement, and you'll notice that now, to much cheer, you can now delete the end section and the start section if you wanted to. Huge. We have had so many people ask about that. So now you can delete the end and start sections to really create transitions that are exactly what you want. Before, you were really tied into those sections. Now you are free. So I'm sure there are cheers all over the world right now regarding that. We were asked about that so many times. But it's cool because now, if you want to, let's just go from this song to the next and see what happens.
Outro 2.
We might have to play with it a little bit.
4.
I haven't. So right now I have
Intro 2, 3, 4.
Well, I guess what I'd have to do is edit the start section on this one. So let's go to Edit Arrangement. Let's remove the start section on this one by just double clicking, by the way, and you can delete any section you want, just like this. All right. I'm going to hit Save, and let's just go ahead and make the auto advance. Let's just make it right here. We're going to turn on auto advance, and let's just go ahead and press play.
2, 3, 4.
So in time, I went right into the next section that I had. Now, that wasn't like perfect. That's probably not what you would actually do in a real worship service. But the point is that if there's a song that you want to jump into that's a totally different song, you can customize those sections by just deleting the start and end section. And it works in time. So that's a huge enhancement as well with the Prime 7 audio engine. Cheers all around. All right, let's keep moving. So you can delete start and end section. Let's talk about the pad player. Okay, down here in the bottom right corner, the pad player is on its own with its own audio engine, which means that it plays separately from the tracks, okay? You can play the tracks and the pad player together, or separately. So check this out. Let's just say you're about to start this song called More Than Ever. Well, you can go ahead and set your key down here and turn on the pad player with the on button. You can change the octave of the pad player just by pressing the plus and minus buttons. You can change the key however you'd like, and it will fade right in. Okay? This is the pad player volume. You can move that up and down. This is the master volume for the pad player. You can solo it, you can mute it if you want to. But let's just say you just want a pad to play for a few minutes before you start. And then when you're ready to start, go ahead and start your first song. I'm going to, by the way, change the click.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
Now the pad's going to just keep playing underneath the track. When I want the pad to stop, I could just turn the pad off by pressing this button.
Verse 2.
And the pad
3,
will fade out.
4.
The track is going to keep going. I can always bring the pad back in if I want to. So Pad Player is a really, really powerful tool that you can use to create worship moments. Now there's two features coming that I want to give you a hint on. The first is the ability to change the pad's sound. So right here, you'll notice it just says Fundamental Ambient Pad by Loop Community. That's the default pad. It's free. It comes with Prime, and it's the default pad. We are going to be adding the ability to click right here, and you can choose from different pad sounds. So that's coming. Also, another feature that's going to be coming is what we're going to call key follow. Right now, I have to manually change the keys like this. But what happens? What if you wanted the pad to follow the keys in your set list? So if I go to the next song, Pad Player would automatically change to G for me. We're going to add that option in settings soon. So that's also coming. Pad Player is a really powerful tool that you can use just to create just really nice worship moments. If you want to pray and then start the song,
Intro 2.
it's all
3,
yours with Pad Player.
4.
Now here is my favorite part about Pad Player. Many of you know that we have hardware at Loop Community that we developed and created called Looptimus. It looks like this. This is the Looptimus foot controller. And the one that I have with me right now, this is the wireless Looptimus, Bluetooth. Now, what you can do is I'm going to turn it on. And Looptimus, for many, many years, has had a feature inside of it that not many people know about, but it's called pad mode. If I go into pad mode on my Looptimus, I'm just going to press the stop button for a few seconds. And I'm going to go into pad mode. You'll see on the screen it says pad. I'm going to go a little closer to the camera so you can see it perfectly. All right, it says pad mode. Once I'm in pad mode, I can use the next and previous buttons. If I want to change the octave, I can press and hold this, and it will let me choose the octave. Or I can also change my MIDI channel here. But what I can do in pad mode is I can choose the key of my song by using the next and previous buttons. So if I press next, I'm in the key of B flat or B or C or D or C sharp, D, right? Choose your key. And once you're in the key that you want, let's just say we're in the key of C, buttons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm backwards here. 4, 5, and 6. We'll play the 1 chord of the key of C, the 2 chord, the 3 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord, the 6 chord. All right. This is a feature that not many people know that Looptimus has. You can choose the key or the C. So this is the 1 chord of the key of C, the 2 chord. All right. Now, here's what's really cool is pad mode on a Looptimus now works with Pad Player with Prime. This is the first time ever that pad mode on a Looptimus has worked perfectly with Prime to play piano with your feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and connect my Looptimus Plus to Prime. I'm going to show you how that works. All you have to do is go into your settings in Prime, go to MIDI, and it says that I need to open the audio MIDI setup. And here's my Looptimus Plus. I'm going to click connect. Let's see what happens here. My Looptimus Plus has a blue light on it, which means that I'm connected. I'm in pad mode, okay, in Prime, and I'm going to press C1. And look at that. Pad mode automatically is playing the 1 chord of the key of C. Let's do the 4 chord. And now the 5 chord. And then back to the 1 chord. Very cool. And I can change the octave. Let's just say I want to go up an octave. I'm going to press and hold the next button. Let's go up an octave. Okay. Press 1 on the Looptimus. And I went up an octave. Let's just change the key. Let's go to the key of D. Now I'm in D. So that is a really cool feature of the new Prime 7 is that the pad player works seamlessly with a Looptimus controller in pad mode. Really cool feature. Highly recommend that you guys check it out. This actually might be a time, if you don't have a Looptimus controller, use that promo code I'm giving you. So Prime 7, if you use the promo code Prime 7 today and tomorrow, you get 20% off tracks and hardware. So if you want to buy a Looptimus, now's a good time to do it. 20% off. That's a pretty big discount. Use the code Prime 7 today and tomorrow. You can get a Looptimus or a track rig or whatever you need. All right. So that's pad player in Prime 7. Let's look at another feature. And this is, gosh, I keep saying it's my favorite feature, but this one actually might be my favorite feature because this one saved me the most time as a worship leader. And it's the ability to audio route all of the tracks globally. So for those of you who are using an interface like a track rig or some other interface, you've known that as you go through the songs, you have to manually change the outputs of every single song for every track, which can get really tedious. And believe me, it was driving me crazy as a worship leader. And I thought, there's got to be a faster way to do this. How do we make this better? And so we launched a new feature in Prime 7 called Global Audio Routing. So I have a track rig connected here. You can see this. This is the track rig I'm actually using to get the audio into this live stream. I'm using a track rig. I'm plugged into Prime. And with this track rig, right now, just for this video, I'm using just outputs 1 and 2, just left and right. But, if I were at church, I would have maybe like click and then bass, keys, guitars, percussion, piano, effects, background vocals, whatever I want. You can route any track in Prime to any of these outputs. Now, what we enhanced is the ability to route this a lot faster. So once you have your interface plugged in, if you click on outs, this will open up the audio settings for your song. So I'm in Battle Belongs, and I can see on all of my tracks here which output they're going out. So my click is going out mono channel 1. So these are my 8 outputs on my interface. And I can click here and change the output easily. That's the same as Prime 6, right? You can also choose a stereo pair if you click stereo, and you can choose a stereo pair. And I would have to go through each one of these to route my outputs. Well, that took a lot of time. So what we did is we added global audio routing. You'll notice that if I click on here, there's an option for global. And what global does is it uses your global settings, okay? And this is actually on by default for new songs. Global audio routing is always actually the default if you have an interface plugged in. So you can choose global now, and you can't actually change the output manually here, But what we did is if you go into settings and click audio, this is your global audio routing. We have every single track name that Prime has, and you can set which output you want it to be on. So you can also access that quickly by just clicking right here, and it brings up the global settings. So for example, I can choose my interface. I'm using the track rig. I could say, hey, for every song in my set list, if there's an accordion, I want it to go out what? Mono or stereo? I could choose mono 5. Every acoustic guitar, I want it to go out mono 6. Every alto vocal track, I want it to go out output 8. And you would go through here and actually set what you want your defaults to be. My click, I always want output 1. My cues, I always want output 1. If it's a conga, oh goodness, put it on output 7, right? If it's a drum track, I want it to be on output 3. Now, that might seem tedious because you have to go through this list and do that, but here's the beauty. Once you do it once, you never have to do it again, ever. Because if you're using global audio routing, no matter what song you're on, it's going to use those global audio routings that you chose in settings, which is huge. So that is a major benefit of Prime 7 is the global audio routing. You can do it all within the settings window. That is for Loop Pro members on the standard plan and above. So if you want global audio routing, make sure you're on the Loop Pro standard plan or higher. The other really cool thing about the global audio routing is that people have asked us, hey, how do I don't have my track rig with me. How do I actually do all my routings? Well, you can do that offline, or you can do it without an interface actually plugged in. You can go into your global settings and route everything without actually having to have an interface plugged in, which is really great. Okay, that is MIDI out or audio outputs. Let's talk about MIDI out, which by the way, MIDI in is all the same. If you click on MIDI in, you can see all the different things that you can map with a controller. Anything that has a gray box around it or a dotted line around it can be mapped to a controller like a Looptimus foot controller, right? The pad player will soon be MIDI mappable. Right now it's not MIDI mappable, but soon this will also have dotted lines around it and you can map anything in the pad player. But let's talk about MIDI out. So many of you know that in Prime, you've been able to actually set MIDI out cues to control things like Pro Presenter or lighting or guitar effects. And you've done that by going to the pencil mode here and choosing Edit MIDI Cues. That is all the same in Prime 7 with a couple different enhancements. So you can double click anywhere now and choose where you want to add that MIDI cue. And you can choose if it's a note on, note off, control change, program change, your note, your velocity. But here's the new option is a bus. Now you can actually set MIDI cues out of their own individual buses. On Prime 6, it was only just one. There was only one MIDI channel, basically, that you could use. And you had to send everything through that, which made things a little complicated if you were trying to control lyrics and lighting. So let's go ahead and add a cue for lyrics. I'm going to add one here. And of course, you can move it around if you need to. Let's add another one. It'll be, let's just add it for lighting. And let's add another one just for fun for patches. I'm just going to show you kind of what this looks like. Or how about one for guitar? So you can add all these different MIDI cues that are all sending out of their own bus. Now, a new thing in Prime 7 with the buses, you can actually click on this icon here and you can toggle the cue visibility. It doesn't toggle whether or not the cues send, but it toggles what's visible on the timeline. Many of you said to us, hey, I have so many MIDI cues that I can't even see my waveform anymore. So that's where this feature comes into play. You can click hide all if you don't want to see them, or you can hide individual buses that you don't want to see. Just like that. They still all play, but they just aren't visible on the timeline. They're not cluttering up your view inside of Prime. So that was a feature that many of you asked for. To go and hit save. Let's go into settings. I'm going to show you how you edit those MIDI buses. Under here, under MIDI, you can see your MIDI buses. And I can choose which port and which channel individual MIDI outs go out of. So if I want my lights to go out a certain port and a different channel, I can change that. So you have 8 different buses here. They could go out 8 different ports and any channel you want them to go out of. That is a new feature in Prime 7, and that's been a highly requested one. So hope you enjoy that as well. Some basic, just general settings we've made edits to. Under general, we added some new cue sounds. We also added, what did we do? We changed dark mode. Here, check out the dark mode. That looks pretty cool. We updated the dark mode to look even cooler. So here's dark mode with Prime. Type in the chats right now if you are a light mode or dark mode person. Light or dark? Curious. Also in settings, you can choose your fade out and fade in duration. So right here, you'll notice that there is a fade button where when you are going to fade out the song, you can just go ahead and fade out at any time you want to. Well, you can change how long that duration of that fade out is by just adjusting it right here. It could be 10 seconds. It could be all the way up to 30 seconds. So let's just set it back to 10, and I'm going to show you how that works. Let's go ahead and press play. I'm going to press the fade out button, and it's going to fade out in 10 seconds. It's also going to fade back in 10 seconds. So that's a feature in Prime 7 we didn't have before. You never were able to change that duration, but you can also change the duration of how long transitions take, which you could not do in Prime 6. In Prime 7, you can actually choose how long a crossfade takes to crossfade. So for that crossfade on demand option, let's just say you want your crossfade to only last 5 seconds. I can just change it right here. And now if I go to a pad and I'm going to crossfade on demand, it's only going to take 5 seconds to do it. Watch this.
Intro, 2, 3, 4.
So that was 5 seconds. And it went. Now I might want it a little bit longer because you notice that my start section is a lot longer than 5 seconds, which is why there was a dropout. But the point is that you can customize that to whatever you want it to be. So just more options to make sure that you can really tweak the set list that you're doing so that everything is glued together and there's no awkward pauses. So we've talked about the MIDI out buses, the global audio routing, which is a huge feature. That's my personal favorite because it saved me probably 20 minutes every Sunday morning. And so that's a really great feature. We talked about MIDI ports for MIDI cues. And we talked about some of the new features coming. I actually kind of throughout that whole event talked about some new features that are coming. Pad player sounds, pad player MIDI mapping, pad player, what was it? Sounds, MIDI mapping, the key follow feature for pad player, team sharing within the app. All these types of things are coming. We're working on it. But the good news is that Prime 7 is here and it's available for iPhone, iPad, and Mac today. Go to your app store, wherever you have whatever device you're using, search for Prime, Loop Community Prime, and you can download Prime 7 today. So those are some of the great new features inside of Prime. I covered so many there. And let us know what you think. Type in the chats what your experience has been. Go to the Facebook group, get involved. Join us, Loop Community on Facebook, and you can kind of talk with other worship leaders about how they're using Prime. And so get in there. We'd love to hear from you. Also, again, if you want to get 20% off tracks and hardware, go to loopcommunity.com today and tomorrow and use the promo code PRIME7, the number 7. PRIME7 will give you 20% off tracks and hardware at Loop Community. It's a great time to go buy a Looptimus or a track rig or some new tracks. And also very soon, we're going to have the Looptimus Mini back in stock. So stay tuned on that. But thank you guys all for being a part of the community. That's it for the Prime 7 event. Glad you're part of the community. And we're just praying that your worship leading is blessed and that your churches are blessed wherever in the world you are. And that thank you guys for just being a part. We're thankful for you. See you later.